Hi everyone, welcome to virtual conference of Leading Organizational Change Through Innovation presented by Penn State Workforce Education and Organization Development and Change Programs. I'm a proud graduate of the both programs. I got my PhD on Workforce Education and Development with the emphasis on OD and HRD from this program, and also my master's program from Master of Professional Studies in Organization Development and Change program. So I'm a proud graduate of both programs. My name is Behnam Bakhshandeh, and for the last 27 years, I've been a coach, author, speakers, and OD and HRD practitioners, and own my own practice of private education, working on personal and professional development industry. Today's presentation is about role of emotional intelligence or EI on 4Cs training and development. Just for you to be aware, the source of this presentation is based on my doctoral dissertation on the topic of perception of 21st century 4Cs, which has been critical thinking, communication, creativity, and collaboration, a skills gap across private sector employers in Northeast Pennsylvania. Just for you to know, the base of this dissertation was because of the complaints I received from all of my clientele in the last 3 decades about the shortage of soft skills among their workforce. So that intrigued my intention to do some research on this topic. So what you will see during this presentation is a little summary of 430 pages dissertation. So you got to be patient, and you got to learn from what I'm presenting in the general basis. However, any of you who are interested to have a copy of this dissertation, you can go to Penn State book library, or request from Prequest, or simply provide me with your email and I will send you a copy. 21st century industries are facing dramatic changes in business situation. Having a skilled and competent workforce is becoming essential to organizations and businesses' ability to successfully compete in the market and even to survive in the fierce national and global competition. Organizations and businesses began to face a dramatic alteration in business concepts and the environment in the 21st century as compared with the previous decades. They were forced to adopt a whole new learning process to stay competitive and thrive in their new environment. These presentation objectives are as follows. Possibility of using EI for 4Cs training and development for workforce. Role of EI for clusters in 4Cs training and development, which will be introduced in future slides. And possibility of training workforce on their understanding of mindset, attitude, and behavior. This presentation will also touch on importance of emotional intelligence on workforce development, emotional intelligence clusters and competencies, connection of EI clusters, competencies, and attributions and their relation to 4Cs development, understanding of self-awareness levels, framework of EI training related to workforce development and retention, and workforce understanding of their mindset, attitude, and behavior. Regardless of preferences, like it or not, organizations' leaders ought to cope with the mood of their organizations and all sorts of emotional outputs from their workforce in all levels. The most effective and competent organization leaders achieve this task by using a peculiar mixture of psychological competencies known as emotional intelligence. We have divided and organized the emotional intelligence clusters and their related competencies into four clusters of self-awareness, self-regulation, social awareness, and relationship management. This concept of influence of emotional intelligence for training and development of the four C's among workforce are important to and for organizations as whole, current workforce in the market, educational systems that would train and develop the workforce, workforce education professionals, including myself, including you, including people who work in the market, for developmental programs, and for local and state agencies that would train and develop workforces for their states. This figure is presenting the way I organize the emotional intelligence clusters and competencies to four uh, related clusters. As you can see, cluster 1, self-awareness, cluster 2, self-regulation, cluster 3, social awareness, and cluster 4, relationship management. Each of these clusters have 8 sub component that cover each cluster. For example, on cluster 1 to the left, you can see including 8 components of emotional awareness, self-confidence, self-assessment, self-control, self-disparaging humor, interpersonal skills, self-motivation, and self-disciplines, and so forth for the rest of the other clusters. We are not committed that these are exact same component for each clusters. That's why, as you see through the arrows, they are connected to each other and covering each other and could be used for any other mixed clusters of possibilities. In these slides, we're presenting to you emotional intelligence clusters, competencies and capabilities, attributions and qualities, and their connection to the four C's skills development. This is the first slide of 4 representing the first cluster of self-awareness. As you see, the competencies or components being listed under the column competencies. Under the column of attributions and qualities, we recognize each qualities of each component. For example, on the first one, emotional awareness, the attributions and qualities are including concerning others' feelings, realizing misunderstandings, and operating based on trust. And how this link to the four C's, it will develop a workforce member or a person, individual, or teams on the scales of critical thinking and communication. As you can see through the rest of this slide, each of these 8 components have their own attributions and qualities, and they're linking to 1 and 2 or maybe even more of the 4 C's scales. Again, these slides are full of information. Unfortunately, we don't have time to go through the whole thing and explain the whole thing, but you're more than welcome to get a copy of this presentation and review it later by yourself. This slide represents the component, attribution, and qualities of second EI cluster, the self-regulation. Here again, for example, on the Second component, adaptability. Attribution and qualities are included, can be open to learning new things, can adjust quickly, and can embrace new ideas, help developing skills on collaboration and creativity. This slide represents component, attribution, and qualities of third cluster, social awareness. This one, we are looking at the third one on the column of competencies, compassion. The attributions are placing oneself in others' situations, practicing active listening, and being okay with others' failures, which would develop skills on critical thinking and communication. The fourth and last cluster of EI, relationship management. Look at the column of competencies. Let's go on the fourth one from top, flexibility. Attributions are dealing with unexpected, not being reactionary, and not being attached to a firm approach. It would develop skills on creativity and collaboration. Again, for records, I do understand this has a lot of information to absorb and to remember. That's why I highly recommend you obtain a copy of this slideshow for yourself or a copy of dissertation and educate yourself on this very important element of training and development using using emotional intelligent clusters for developing workforce forces skills. It is essential that we talk about levels of self-awareness for individuals. We are pointing at self-awareness levels because individuals can realize how they are not aware of their relationships, self-motivation, attitude, behaviors, and thought processes underlining their mindset, performance, and productivity. The level of one's self-awareness depends on the degree that they are consciously hiding it from others. The self-awareness levels are as follows. From left to right, the first level of self-awareness is identified, which is aware by individual, by oneself, and aware by others. That's why it's identified. The second one, blind spot, unaware by individual oneself, but aware by others. The third one, concealed, aware by individual oneself, but unaware by others. And the last one to the right, unidentified, unaware by individual oneself, and unaware by others. In this figure, we try to give you a summary of a framework for emotional intelligence training related to developing workforce for productivity and talent retention. Every organization needs hard technical skills and soft skills among their workforce, which is included 4C's skills of critical thinking, communication, creativity, and collaboration, which if we include the emotional intelligence trainings of around self-awareness, self-regulation, social awareness, and relationship management, with the help of implementing this kind of trainings on educational systems, organization, trainers and practitioners, and current workforce, we can really developing educated and scaled workforce, which is naturally have a positive impact on productivity, talent retention, and succession planning, which give us very skilled and developed and productive with high performance future workforce. Let's briefly talk about understanding of mindset and behavior for use by workforce in their education and development. Individuals' understanding of their mindsets and behaviors are crucial for developing the workforce to recognize their mindset through self-awareness, their ability to control their mindsets, attitude, and behavior through self-control, their understanding and consciousness of their work environment and co-workers through social awareness, and their knowledge and ability to manage the relationships with others, which are essential to developing a productive, workable, and a scaled workforce. The role of emotional intelligence competencies and needs for their development is very apparent across private sector organizations. The use of EI trainings on personal and professional development should not be minimized and overlooked in favor of the training and development the workforce on technical knowledge and hard skills. We are coming to the end of this short presentation. This is a reference list for this presentation that you just observed, and I hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed presenting it. As I mentioned in the beginning, this short presentation is representing a very large dissertation research, and I'm sure we could not give you every element of that research and its finding. However, I hope you learn a little bit about how important it is the role of emotional intelligence in training and developing workforce on 4 C's skills or any other skills that can help them grow and develop in their career. At this moment, I open the floor for any questions you have. You can ask questions via speaking or on the chat box, and I will do my best to answer all of your questions. This is my contact information, including my email, behnam@coachbehnam.com, and my mobile number, 760-518-9804. I would gladly make myself available to any questions or concern you have, or I'll send you some supporting information. Thank you very much.